Hey, big homies. Blast here with Blintz Blomps. Hope you're doing well. I feel like we're working through the golden age of fragrance clones. It seems like they just keep getting better and better and better, and the price point is not really creeping up that much on them, which for a lot of you out there makes you very happy. And for some other brands out there, it makes them very unhappy. What do you mean you made something that smells similar to my $500 fragrance, but it only cost someone $25? And with that in mind, today I'm sharing with you guys some fragrance clones that are just about as good, if not better, than the original, especially when you take into account the whole price discrepancy thing. They're not always exactly the same. They may have a little twist, but they are still just chef's kiss. All of them are gonna be linked in the description below. Let's get things kicked off with this little beauty. It is olfactory curated fragrances. This is by Fragrance World, and the name of this one is Music Fest. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. This does indeed look a little bit similar to a presentation style of something like Maison Margiela a little bit. Now here's the part that, that got me, okay? The name of the fragrance is Music Fest, and Maison Margiela does have a fragrance called Music Festival. So when I ordered this, I was like, I know what that is. It's gonna be Music Festival, right? Wrong. It's not Music Festival. Music Fest is a clone of Jazz Club. I know. Because I got this in and I was like, okay, let's give it a spray. What? What have you done here, mate? Yeah, they just completely Although to be fair, I guess it would be difficult to come up with an alternative to Jazz Club. You'd have to call it something like Jazz Lounge, and that would be very hard to think of. So Music Fest works much better. All that said, and all that aside, it is an insanely good clone of Jazz Club. As soon as I sprayed this on, I was like, is that as close as it feels like? And I went and grabbed my bottle of Jazz Club, sprayed it on side by side, and pretty much right off the rip, really, really similar. So sometimes you have clones, like I mentioned in the intro there, that do things with a twist. Nah, this one is just like, hey, if you like Jazz Club, here it is, but it's less expensive. And the presentation is actually pretty nice. The glass is heavy, it's got a big bottom to it there, and we like big bottoms. The cap is really super lightweight, but I mean, overall, it looks pretty nice. And there is a giveaway, to be fair, on the front that this is Jazz Club, because when you look at the description right there, it says cognac leathery. And Music Festival is not a cognac leathery fragrance. So yeah, this one right here, this is Jazz Club. After that, we have Soprano Soul. And this is part of Dumont Paris, but it's one of their sub-brands, kind of like Maison Alhambra is Lattafa, that kind of deal. So Soprano Soul, and this one is a clone of Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Lucky, which you would never guess in a million years based off the name Soprano Soul and the look of the bottle. It doesn't look anything like that, but that's what it is. I just sprayed my hand. I have a special God-given talent of having sprayed thousands and thousands and thousands of fragrance bottles over the years, and somehow in this distance right here, I miss. It's special, I'm telling you, it's special. All you gotta do is just line up the atomizer, and somehow I look at it and I go, that looks good. Oh my God. This does have a pretty nice presentation as well. Technically this is Panucci, by the way. So yeah, that's great. And as I mentioned, this is kind of a sub-brand of Dumont Paris, but I think it's one of their nicer sub-brands because when you look at the presentation, it gives you the box within a box treatment. You know, we always love that. Box within a box, nice. And it's even got a pull tab. Ka-chow. And the name is technically Panucci, so any of these Soprano fragrances are Panucci. Shout out Tony Soprano. When you very first spray this on, it smells like there's a little more of like an ozonic vibe to it off the top when you compare it directly to 1 Million Lucky. But then within 2-3 minutes, it's pretty much a dead ringer. And 1 Million Lucky is a fantastic fragrance. A lot of you will agree with that. You know, it's got this great mix of deeper notes, richer notes, and then fresh notes as well. Makes it a really interesting choice, good versatility, and pretty unique. And I am hoping beyond hope that 1 Million Lucky stays around for a while. But if it ever does become very difficult to find, make sure that you're aware of this. Can I just say, I'm not 100% because between you and me, and just keep this between us, I sometimes do not trust Paco Rabanne as it pertains to keeping fragrances around. They're very iffy. Because they'll discontinue things at the drop of a hat that you would think are gonna stick around, and then there are things that you think, oh, that won't be around that long, and then it's there forever. So, Paco Rabanne, that's how they roll. After that, let's talk about this eternal oud from Lattafa. Look at that presentation. It has an interesting tree, and then another tree. So this is a clone of Grand Soir from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and when you consider the price difference between this and that, this is an insanely solid alternative. Really good quality for the price point, and I feel like the performance is actually pretty solid. I know some people have said that they feel like it should be, you know, louder, project more. I think it's pretty good. Now, do be aware that even though the name is Eternal Oud, it's not like a crazy oud fragrance, because at the end of the day, it is cloning a fragrance that is more ambery, and that's what this is. So I know the name is one thing, and there are trees on the bottle here that would make you think, oh, big time oud. Not so much. I think it's, again, I just mentioned it, but the quality here is really, really great for the price. And this one is going to appeal more, I would say, to people middle-aged and older. Just the same as the Maison Francis Kurkdjian. You know, there's not too many younger guys out there who are rocking that MFK. So keep that in mind. If you are somebody who's like 25 and under, this probably won't be for you unless you have tried the MFK and you know that you like it, then absolutely scoop that up. Next up, this one, Mirage Absolute. This is from French Avenue, and French Avenue is an offshoot of Fragrance World. It gets hard to keep up with because all these different, you know, companies have all their different subsidiaries and everything, but French Avenue is that. And let me tell you guys, this stuff is just nuts, okay? It looks really unassuming. Actually, the presentation is nice. Like, it's got a nice box and everything like that. Bottle looks good and everything, but it's still pretty unassuming. What I mean by that is if you saw this in a store, you knew nothing about it, you would have no clue what this is, right? You would just be like, huh, okay. But that is a clone of Latent Exclusive by Parfums de Marly, and it is the best one right now that you can get. Now I know they were beat to the punch by Au Harming, Detour Noir Exclusive, and that one's really good too. That is very, very good. But this one, to me, is better. It is great, the way that it comes across. It is closer to Latent Exclusive than Detour Noir Exclusive is. Detour Noir Exclusive is, as I've said a few times at this point, kind of in between Latent and Latent Exclusive. You know, it doesn't have as much of that dark edge that actual Latent Exclusive does. So, you know, it doesn't get you quite all the way there, but it's still really well done. This gets you closer to actual Latent Exclusive than Detour Noir Exclusive does. My tongue is just shutting down. I said exclusive like 52 times just now. I can't speak. This stuff projects. It smells amazing. The quality is great. This is just a 10 out of 10 cologne. It's really, really, really excellent. So even though it did not come out first, if it were up to me, like if I were picking just one for myself between this and Detour Noir, it'd be that. Oh, we gotta do this. Rassi. It's Essential. This is the type of cologne above all else that I personally love. Now, I fully am on board with having more affordable alternatives to very expensive scents, because I know not everybody can afford those. So I'm on board with that. You know, there are people out there who don't have 300, 400, 500 bucks, or even 200 to splurge on a scent, but they love the fragrance, and you know, the alternative is buying a 10 ml decant that's been marked up a lot in terms of how much the price per milliliter is, and wearing that and buying another decant, or getting something like this and having something that scratches that itch, that's not gonna set them back a lot of money. So I'm on board with those. Now, I've said before, I'll say it again, I don't generally personally wear them, right? I test them, so if I'm gonna be doing a review or something, I'll wear them then. And you know, on occasion, maybe I get a wild hair and I'll wear it, but it's more so putting the stuff out there so that people know, hey, this is an alternative and this one is better than that one. That way people are educated and can make a decision like, okay, I think this one would work for me, or that one would, or whatever, right? But in terms of what I really like in terms of clones, stuff like that. And what is that? It is a clone of a discontinued fragrance. I'm a bit of a discontinued freakazoid, I think is the correct word. I like them, okay? I like them a lot. For me, a discontinued scent is like gold, because they're not making them anymore. It's kind of like a classic to an extent. You know, you don't see it worn or smell it. It's almost like classic cars to an extent, kind of. Where when you see a classic car, you know, some people see it and they're like, I don't care at all. But for car people, they see one, if it's like a JDM car that they really like, maybe they see like a Toyota Supra or an RX-7 or a 300ZX or a GTO or something, and they're just like, oh my God, whoa! Other people are just like, eh. And then of course, classic cars from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, same thing. And it's like that with discontinued fragrances. So a lot of people out there don't care, but for people that do care, it's pretty awesome. This is a clone of LOM Old Team from Yves Saint Laurent. And I loved LOM Old Team, okay? I really loved it. But for a time there, when it was available, especially at discounters, it was really affordable. It was one of the best spring fragrances I felt like you could get, especially for a good price. Fresh rose, but with a decided masculine lean, fantastic smelling ginger, just really good stuff. And it got discontinued, and it got more difficult to find, the price goes up, et cetera, et cetera. This scratches that itch, you know, smells similar to LOM Old Team, and it's affordable. So Rassi, it's essential. This is fantastic. And honestly, I want, like I'm putting it out into the universe, Rassi to do more, I've said this before, discontinued clones. Especially if they put them out at a price point similar to like this. Yes. And look, I don't care about the presentation that much. This is fine. If you have to scale back the presentation, put it in a simpler box, simpler bottle so that you can put out those alternatives to those discontinued scents at a good price point, I'm okay with that, man. So yes, love it. After that, Club de Nuit Précieux. I said that weird, obviously. After that one, Armaf Club de Nuit Précieux. Now this is the most expensive one here, I believe, especially if we're going by price per milliliter, because obviously the bottle is a little bit smaller than your typical 100 ml size. Don't worry, it's not a 50 ml though, it's 55. 10% free. So this is technically also Club de Nuit Précieux 1. Forgot to say that. I forgot to put the the 1 in there. Very important, because in the future, I'm assuming there's gonna be a 2 and a 3 and a 4, so 1. And this has a really pumped up presentation. It's got like boxes within boxes and just all kinds of stuff going on. The bottle looks pretty good, I feel like. It's got a nice little design to it. It has this little charm with one singular crystal instead of a whole bunch. And this is, as you would probably expect, a bit of an Absolute Aventus alternative, which makes sense because, you know, Club de Nuit Intense Man, of course, is Aventus, and they're coming out with this nicer, higher end version. And in the marketing write-up for it, you know, they talked about this being like the next level or whatever of the Club de Nuit legacy, and so it makes sense. But yeah, it's really well done. Smells good right off the bat. No funky opening with this one, so that was a part that a lot of people didn't like about the original Club de Nuit Intense Man, the opening. A little funky, little much, you know, lemon cleaner kind of vibe to it. But with this one, it smells great right away. So Absolute Aventus right there. Let's do this one. This is the other one that I got. This is Bonfire. So obviously, same thing as over here. And this one is what you would think it is. Whereas that one was different, this one is what you would think. It's called Bonfire, and it is by the Fireplace. And just like with this over here, everything else applies with this one. It's another clone that is pretty much spot on. I would say actually, at least for me, that Bonfire might have a little more of that smokiness to it, that smoky aspect, than By the Fireplace. Because By the Fireplace has, you know, a little gourmand lean to it, and this has that as well, but in By the Fireplace, sometimes, for some people, that can kind of overtake that smoky aspect a little bit. This one brings that smoke into more balance, more level with the gourmand side. But again, really, really, really well done. And I think it makes sense that they would start this off with Jazz Club and By the Fireplace. I'll be interested to see if they just kind of like go down the line, you know, and go like, okay, well, which one next? Let's do the whole brand, I guess. I don't know. Then we have a Rassi, once again. This is Style Icon for men. So similar to its Essential, like this is kind of priced below a lot of the other Rassi fragrances. So you have, you know, your Hawas Ice, La Yucca Wam, all that stuff. And those are like up a notch from these. You can kind of tell, like I talked about with this one a little bit, by the bottle. Like the bottle styles are a little more, I don't know if I want to call it basic, but they just have like a certain look to them. The quality though is there. And this one is Scandal by Jean-Paul Gaultier. And I always think it's interesting, Scandal, because, you know, in the US, that one flies under the radar. It's a good compliment puller. I think it smells really nice, good for fall and winter time, great usability there, but flies under the radar a bit. And then you have multiple clone fragrances of Scandal. So you would think, you know, looking at the wide range of fragrances out there, that there'd be like, oh, we're gonna clone that, before they get to Scandal, right? But no. They're like, we're cloning Scandal, dog. That's what we're doing. And this is really top-notch stuff. I know looking at that Style Icon in the kind of green bottle, you're gonna think possibly springtime, you know, daytime fragrance, but no, it's more fall and winter evening, a good date night fragrance. And this is one that smells super close. You spray it on, you can tell right away that's Scandal. Darn good, darn good. Coming up, we have a fragrance that there is no chance, just zero chance, that when you look at this bottle, you know what it's a clone of. You're gonna be just completely confused. It looks like absolutely nothing out there. Yeah, I'll just show you, okay? Here it is. Royal Blend by French Avenue. I was lying. Yeah, you can tell what that is. That is a fragrance that has possibly been inspired by Angel Share from By Kilian. I swear, like, the brands, they just love to pull out the stops for their presentation style when they are doing something in the style of Angel Share. Some of the clone brands have presentations just as good as Angel Share, if not actually better, when you consider, you know, the box and everything else. Because if we're honest, the Angel Share box is okay, it's fine. But a lot of the clones have like ornate boxes and everything else, and this one is really nice. And in terms of the scent profile, amazing. This catapults right up toward the top. I would say that this one, Royal Blend, is the best Fragrance World interpretation of Angel Share. Technically, this is French Avenue, but we already talked about that earlier. So essentially, it seems like French Avenue is the like higher end of Fragrance World to an extent. And this stuff is just drop dead gorgeous. It smells fantastic. It's got that booziness, that sweetness, that warmth, that spice right off the top. It's one you can spray, immediately smell, and it's great. Yeah, just fantastic. No alcohol kind of thing going on in terms of like, you know, smelling it and getting a synthetic pop to your nose, none of that. Great performance, fantastic presentation, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. The only issue with this is that, of course, there are a lot of Angel Share alternatives out there at this point. And it's one of those deals where, you know, do you already have Camera Kawa, already have, you know, one of the other multitude of alternatives out there? Do you want to grab another one? You know, that's kind of the issue. But if you have none, this is easily as good as Camera. Like I said, right up toward the very tippy top. I did a video, I feel like maybe a year ago, maybe not a year ago, somewhere around there though, where my wife smelled like all the different clones of Angel Share. And I probably need to do another version of that because there are some that have come out like this one that I feel are personally easily better than almost everything else out there. And there are other ones that I feel like are not as good that I've gotten in. So I kind of want to like gather those all up again and have another round robin. All right, last but not least, Rare Carbon from Afnan. The carbon, very rare. Difficult to find that carbon. It's not at all something that's all over the place. Nope. Rare Carbon though, as a clone, top notch, 10 out of 10. This is a clone of Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, of course. It's got that sweetness, that kind of violet aspect that Ombre Leather has. It's done excellently and for a very good price. It's about 30 bucks from Joma Shop. And while Ombre Leather is not the most expensive Tom Ford out there, obviously, it's still at the end of the day Tom Ford, which means it's not cheap. And this ticks all the boxes. You don't have to sacrifice anything with Rare Carbon because it has very good performance as well. You know, so you're basically getting it all. And that's why I include it here, because it does everything Ombre Leather does, only it's way cheaper. So there we go, guys. There are some clone fragrances, a bunch of different types here. Some that are newer releases, some that have been out for a little bit. And most of these are way down toward the more affordable side, with a couple exceptions. Thank you all for hanging with me here today. Stay safe out there, guys. I will see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.